La 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 la. La 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 la.
Today, we're gonna tell you the only 5 exercises you need to get shredded.
So we're gonna be discussing our top 5. Jesus, that was a lot. Now, obviously, he's being hyperbolic and a little dramatic, but that's kind of what sells nowadays. But we are gonna be discussing our 5 favorite and what we deem to be the most essential exercises. So we discussed this before, so we wouldn't have any overlap. However, we don't disagree with each other on this one. We both came to a conclusion that these are the most essential exercises, right?
I'd also like to say that they're not the end-all be-all, because every time you see things like this on the internet, 5 exercises, it's not the only, this is just 5 that we happen to really like, and we're gonna explain why. So I think it'll make for an interesting discussion.
Yeah, and it's definitely not a, don't do any of this. Like, no, it's like, you know.
Yeah, and honestly, if like, these are all hypotheticals. If I had to create a program, I wouldn't only do 5 exercises, obviously.
And if these hurt, if you can't do them because they hurt, don't feel bad. Like, you can always do different things. It's not the end of the world. With that being said, welcome to another episode of the Be Fit Brothers podcast. I'm Victor, that's Forehead, and we're here. There's no dumps anywhere near in the area. We're in Miami Lakes, BSN, you know, the beautiful area.
What about this dump truck?
We have a dump truck here, but no dumps anywhere around.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
You guys know. So we're going to be running through these. I'm going to say one. Forehead's going to say one. And we're going to come to...
It's Julian.
Sorry. They're in no particular order, guys, okay? So don't feel like whichever one we say first or last is the most important. All right? So with that being said, hit me with your first one.
Numero uno. Actually, you say your first one, because then mine is like I try to pick versions of yours, because he gave me his list first. So I try to pick like the one that I would pick instead of the one that you gave me.
Okay.
So
now, I think since I went first, I think mine are going to be like the more traditional lifts, I would say, right? Like the ones that everybody knows, even a layman would know it. So my first movement, or first exercise, as Julian's going to say, is going to be a goblet squat.
Good one.
Now, I chose the goblet squat over the back squat, over the front squat, because it's more accessible to everyone, but you can still challenge yourself if you go heavy enough. And I also chose it because it's a great movement. It's a great exercise. It works your quads, your glutes, your core, your lower back. And one of the things that I did for my list is I chose how it's going to help you in real life. So this mimics things like sitting, standing up from the floor, things like that. These little things that we take for granted, it's going to help you get strong in those areas.
I was going to say that a lot of these are very functional in everyday life, and that's obviously a very functional one. And I do like the goblet squat variation as opposed to other squats, because like you said, it's more accessible. A lot of people don't realize that having weight in front of you you're at a biomechanical advantage. Having the weight here as opposed to like a back squat or a front squat is even more technical. So again, the goblet squat is just like, it hits all the basics.
Yep. And if you have any lower back pain, it's usually kind of safe. It's one of the safer and, like I said, most accessible lifts that will work most of your lower body.
Yeah, I would argue that with like general population, or like most people, like non-athletes or non like fitness people, I do way more goblet squats than I would do back squat or any barbell type of squat.
Agreed. And you're going to notice in my list, it's a lot of things like this. A lot of things that almost everyone can do, and it's going to be accessible for everyone.
Now, I picked exercises that weren't that accessible because I conceptualized it as, first thing that came to my mind, if you had to pick 5 essential exercises, these are the 5 that I would pick.
I think you did more like a desert island. If you're in a desert island, you can only do 5 exercises. Which ones would you do? Like, bang for your buck.
I definitely didn't think about accessibility because, for example, if I did, I would pick way more basic versions of the ones that I chose.
Yeah.
So, but it's good that we're discussing that.
For sure. With that being said, what's your number 1?
So I would pick a Bulgarian split squat.
Wow.
Or a rear foot elevated squat.
All right, Satan.
Well, here's the thing. I was going to pick either reverse lunge or a split squat. Those are a little boring. There's really nothing wrong with them. They're just a little boring.
You're going to see further down my list then, too. Prefer to be bored.
I know. I saw it. And you didn't even pick a specific lunge.
I will.
The reason I picked Bulgarian is because I'm a huge fan of single leg exercises. I think they're very functional because we're always, if you think about it, we're always either walking, going upstairs, running. It's all individual, one leg at a time, right? Yeah. So I love mimicking that in your workouts. And the Bulgarian, when done correctly, is a true single leg exercise. You can't cheat with other exercises. So if you're putting all that weight on the front leg or most of the weight, like that leg is doing all the work. Works every muscle in the leg, stretches the hip flexor in the back.
Yep.
it's just a killer exercise. One of the best bang for your buck exercises that you can do. But if you're just starting to exercise, you probably won't get to a Bulgarian for a few months, I would say.
Yeah, and I think the Bulgarian is a good one to combat my squat, because the problem with the squat that a lot of people say that it's not functional enough is because, like you said, the squat where you sit and you like, we're always in motion. So we do a lot of single leg activities, I feel more, and having that balance of strength between both legs is vital to everyday life.
By the way, we should note that that's a controversial topic in the fitness industry, whether certain things are functional or not.
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
a lot of people don't like bilateral movements. I think that's a little extreme, but I don't want to agree with the whole doing a squat, like any squat variation is not functional, because
sure.
you are, like you said, you're getting up and down from a seat. If you have like kids or you're holding something in your hands, like you are in fact getting up from both legs all the time. So,
and we know as you get older, one of the first things to go is the strength of the hip flexors, which is why you see a lot of old
100%.
people, when they go sit, they do this.
or they
go
hold on to the handles.
Or if they go sit in your car, they'll go like this. First, they'll sit like that first.
You have a bony butt.
Thanks.
Not a compliment. Warm too, Jesus.
Always warm.
You farting under there?
What do you like to know? All right, second exercise I picked is the deadlift.
Ooh,
Now, a lot of people don't like it. I'm going to go ahead and go with a kettlebell deadlift.
God, this guy's accessible.
I'm so accessible.
So
Now,
accessible.
I chose this one because, like I said, the deadlift is already kind of a controversial one because it hurts a lot of people's lower back. A lot of people don't like to do it at all. I know you're not a fan of it. I know it hurts your lower back personally.
Well, barbell deadlift, I think a lot of people shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
So that's specifically, but like trap bar deadlift, kettlebell deadlift, absolutely.
I chose kettlebell because trap bars could be too heavy for some people, even the lighter ones. And I always start my newer clients with kettlebells, and we'll go for a while before we move on to hex bar, trap bar, straight bar. And I chose this one because the hinge is so vital. We're always hinging forward. A lot of people mess up their lower backs because they don't know how to hinge properly. And teaching that proper mechanic and how to brace your core when you're doing this movement, besides the fact that it works your lower back, glutes,
I was gonna say it works
hamstrings,
everything.
It works everything. Besides that,
Even your
little
grip.
fact, it also helps a lot with everyday life.
Okay.
What do you got about the
That's
deadlift?
fair. About your deadlift?
No, yours. Don't look at
I
mine.
don't know what do I have. What did I pick?
No, what do you have to say about the deadlift? You moron.
So I would say that, first of all, we're clearly going with like foundational movements, right? So for those of you who don't know, there are 6 or 7, depending who you ask or what school of thought, human foundational movements, and we've already picked 2 of them, the squat and the hinge.
I've picked 2 of them.
Those are just foundational. The Bulgarian squat is technically a squat.
Oh!
So it's not a lunge. Anyway, so obviously, this is obvious that we would pick this. Like we wouldn't pick 5 like chest exercises. That's ridiculous.
I wasn't trying to get
neglecting
cute.
so
No,
much.
I wasn't trying to be cute or like unique. No, like I'm picking like what I actually deem to be
the meat
5.
and potatoes of
Exactly.
a program.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the deadlift is a staple. Like you said, you don't need to stick to one variation of a deadlift. There's so many different types that you can do. And for example, if you are one of those people that deals with lower back pain, or I have clients that are very tight in certain areas, like their hamstrings, and they can't get in the proper position to lift from the floor. So we just do an elevated one. We just put a little bit of a platform, and they just elevate it, and they can do it just fine. So I'm a firm believer that everyone should be deadlifting, and everyone can deadlift if you modify.
Yeah, to some capacity, right? Exactly. Of course. Now your next one,
What is it? I already forgot.
upside down pineapple.
Kettlebell swing. This guy's getting fancy. Am I
I chose
right?
Kettlebell swings. That's the second
Kettlebell
one.
swing is what I chose.
Go ahead.
So clearly,
your
this guy's accessible. I'm completely inaccessible.
Inaccessible.
I am a advanced only.
Yeah.
I am a non-inclusive.
Yeah, I don't have people kettlebell swing until they're a few months in at least.
Yeah. Again, I pick things that if I can only do 5, what can I do with these 5 exercises? Can I have a complete workout? And I think the 5 I picked, like you have a killer workout, no matter how much you mix and match them. And for example, the ones that you picked for somebody advanced like us would be like too easy, right?
Yeah.
So well, maybe for the most part it'd be too
Yeah, it
easy.
depends on
So
what kettlebell you have.
I think actually it's really interesting what we did, because you can be a beginner and kind of take the 5 that you're picking, and then once you become more advanced, you could take my 5 and get a very similar workout.
I'm telling you, yours is like a perfect desert island. You're stuck. You can only take 5 exercises with you to an island.
You happen to have a kettlebell there.
You have a kettlebell and you have spoiler alert, a bar for later, or a tree. But I agree. I mean, I do think the kettlebell swing is a good lift for if you have the proper mechanics. That's a very important.
Yeah, let me tell you why I picked it. It's obviously a hinge, just like the deadlift. it's working on certain strength elements, but more importantly, it's working on power, which is something that most people neglect when they exercise. They're always thinking about like bodybuilding style. What is this target? I need to work on this muscle, but like, what is a kettlebell swing target? Well, if you're looking at it from a muscle perspective, your whole posterior chain, so all the muscles in the back of your body, it's hitting the legs, it's hitting the upper back, the middle back, the core, even your grip. But what I really like about it is that you can almost use it for cardio, right? So if you do 6 sets of swings with little rest, that's cardio, basically. Yep. And using it for power, so using that hip extension, which, like I said, a lot of exercises don't even touch the power, they don't add a speed element to it. It's all slow and controlled. So I wanted to add at least one exercise that adds a component of speed and power.
Yeah, and I do like it, and I try to, it's like a bad boy. I like it, and I try to incorporate it as much as I can with clients that are ready for it. Because you try with a lot of people that are either excessively curving their lower back or they're using their arms to lift the weight. So it's a very technical lift. But
it's
like
probably
you said,
it's in my top 10 most technical lifts that most people butcher.
And that's going to be a list for another day, guys. So stick around for that.
Ooh, most butchered ones.
Most butchered exercises. That's a good list.
But if you go to like a regular gym and you see people kettlebell swinging, like I can bet that like 8 out of 10 of them could use some correction.
Absolutely. But I do agree it is a good exercise. One of the best to build power and to get that hip extension properly.
And of course, what I like about it too is that once you master the basic, like a Russian kettlebell swing, you can move on to so many variations. Yeah. You can go single arm, you can switch arms.
You can flow.
Exactly.
Yep, for sure. So let's move on. My next one is going to be a single arm row.
Ooh,
now, here I wanted to pick yours, and here I was torn because you're going to
It's your favorite exercise.
He picked my favorite exercise of all time.
Of all time.
Which is... So since he picked my favorite exercise, but I'm going accessibility here, and I wanted something that everybody can do, and that's why I chose the single arm supported single arm dumbbell row. Single arm dumbbell row, because I feel like everyone should be pulling. You should be pulling twice as much as you push or something like that.
Yep.
So everybody should have strength in their back to improve your posture. To again, everyday life. You know,
biggest
you're
muscles
things
in
up
your
on the floor.
Biggest muscles in your upper body.
What's the biggest muscle in your upper body?
Your back. In mine?
Yeah.
My tongue.
It's disgusting.
It's actually disgusting. The smallest.
The reason I chose a single arm lift over like a bent over row or something like that, or the one that you're going to choose, which I love, is because we always want to be doing unilateral movements, working one arm or one leg at a time. Most of us I think everyone has muscle imbalances. And if you're only focused on bilateral things, that's not going to help. So single arm is going to improve that upper back. We're going to work on that posture. It's going to help with the symmetry and all that stuff that we kind of lack in those bilateral exercises.
And in your defense, well, let me tell them mine, and then we'll discuss
you can talk about mine.
Well, I wanted to mention mine, and then why yours is superior for a few reasons. But so mine is a pull-up, right? Any variation of a pull-up, either a chin-up or a pull-up or a neutral grip. It's obviously an awesome exercise, but again, advanced. The reason why yours is technically not only more accessible, but better is because it's a horizontal row as opposed to a vertical row or vertical pull. And horizontal is easier on the shoulder. It's if you have any type of issues, whether it's postural or mobility issues of the shoulder, or even just strength, it's a lot easier to start with rows. And rows is like your go-to back exercise. Like It's not gonna hurt you. It's gonna develop your back nicely. And anything, if you guys have ever noticed doing any pulling motions from a vertical, it's a little bit harder. It's harder on your joints. Some people can't really get there in the beginning until they work on their mobility. So again, my exercises are like once you're past all that beginning gains, then you would move on to something like a pull-up. But once you get there, it's hard to argue with more bang for your buck than a pull-up.
Yeah, I think the pull-up that's why it's my favorite exercise.
King of upper body exercises.
Yeah, if I have 10 minutes, I'm going to do 10 minutes of pull-ups. Not straight, I'm not that advanced. But it's just, like you said, you can't beat it. And when it comes to lats, to your back, to your biceps, even to the core, if you've ever done chin-ups or pull-ups properly, you're going to feel your core. So you really can't compete with that.
Yeah, and if you have like just a bar, you can develop your upper body in such a way by doing variations of pull-ups where I would argue that no other exercise can give you that much development, especially in the upper body.
Yeah, that's why it's like the ultimate prison workout.
Exactly.
Now, the reason I didn't choose the pull-up, and I'm glad you did though, but the reason I didn't choose it is because how many people do you know that can't do a pull-up?
A lot.
We have a lot of our clients do it with either their feet on the floor, a foot-assisted pull-up, or band-assisted pull-up. But there's a lot of people that probably
the little
won't
machine
get
at the gym that
machine that you
is
put
an
your knees
assisted
on.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's a little weird, but
Yeah, it's a little kinky, but I that's why I didn't put the pull-up in mine, but otherwise I would have chosen it.
yeah,
sure.
it's so now that I think about it, most of my exercises I would never do at like a client's first week,
No,
like
for
ever.
sure.
No,
For sure.
almost none of them.
Unless it's like an advanced lift that I can do for help. Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
not most people that we tend to get. So
All right, so moving on.
let's do it.
My next one is going to be very similar to your first. I chose a reverse lunge. Now, the reverse
Good one.
lunge is allegedly the easiest variation of lunges, although some people find split squats, which is that technically a
That's
lunge?
not a lunge, though.
Static
so.
lunges
Nah,
is not a thing?
That's bullshit.
Oh,
Bullshit.
bullshit.
Because a lunge implies,
Movement.
yeah, that you're lunging either forward or back or walking.
See, you guys learned something. Hopefully you learned
Yeah.
more than that. So I chose the reverse lunge because it's accessible. Like I said, even though a lot of people can't do it because it might hurt their knees. So we always start slow. I used to like starting holding on to something, but now I'm not really that big of a fan of that because it causes a dependency. I will have people do it like holding on with one arm while they have the weight on the other arm. But
This
I
guy's
don't,
training some like handicapped people. Even the easiest lunge is too hard for them.
no, I'm just saying you got to start somewhere, guys. We're all
You
starting
know,
somewhere.
you're really like,
We're all
your
starting
brain is
somewhere.
very, okay, so this person, like you're assuming that they're incredibly weak and unstable.
We're just starting off. I'm not saying anybody's weak. I would never judge them like this guy.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's
asshole.
like, no, is that you're thinking, because I'm sure like most people that work out, they're like, yeah, reverse lunge with no weight. Like most people can do that, which you're right,
Well,
they can't.
All right, cowboy,
But-
if that's too easy. Put a barbell on your back and still do reverse
Oh,
lunges. It's still a
cowboy.
reverse lunge. Whether you have two weights, one weight offset, the reverse lunge is huge. It's great for your quads, your glutes, even your core stability. Just holding the weight, your grip, everything.
It's one of the best lunge variations for your glutes
Exactly.
specifically.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good. Like
Yeah.
if you do forward
Forward lunge is
lunges,
more
now
quaddy.
it's a different exercise.
Yeah. So I think the reverse lunge is
Quaddy. Lord fart
Lord fart
quaddy.
quaddy. If I had to pick like a lower body exercise for like that I think is most bang for your buck, it's like you said, either Bulgarian or the reverse lunge.
When I was choosing the Bulgarian, I really struggled to pick between the Bulgarian and the reverse lunge because, like I said, the reverse lunge is way more accessible. It works
Yeah.
the same muscles, by the way.
Yeah, but the Bulgarian is more like you said, a
True, because
unilateral
people
exercise.
cheat with reverse lunges.
Absolutely.
I mean, they cheat with Bulgarians too. People are just cheaters.
Meh.
Let's face it.
Meh, meh.
They just cheat.
What's your next one?
I don't know. What is it? I'm
a guess.
glad that I don't.
Take a guess.
Is it related to a lunge or no?
No, not really. I mean, I guess you're holding weight in your hands.
Farmer's carry?
Yeah, wow. Look at him. He knows his own list that ChatGPT made for him.
So, nah, no way.
Nah,
ChatGPT will probably give you crap for this. This is one of those uses that I wouldn't trust it for.
me neither.
This one is like my curveball of the list. You know, it's, can you get away with not doing it? Probably, but I picked it because most people neglect it and it has a lot of functional transfer to everyday life and it works a ton of muscles, even though when people are doing it, they're like, what is this working?
It's
like,
I'm
do it long
so
enough.
glad you beat me to that.
Do
because
it long
that's-
enough and you'll see what
That's
it's working.
probably the exercise that is most asked. What does this do? I'm just walking with weight. Like, yeah, like clearly if you don't find it challenging, you're not going heavy enough.
And again, think about foundational human movements. What did like our ancestors, what were they evolved to do? Carry things and walk with it.
Yep.
Whether it's a log or it's a rock or it's the day's harvest,
Yep.
you're carrying something and walking with it. So it's very functional and it's working a ton of muscles, working your core. You can do so many variations. You can do double, single arm, overhead, up, down, sandbag on your shoulder. There's so many variations of it. I just put farmer's carry,
Yeah,
left it
general.
general. But again, very neglected because you don't see people in membership gyms doing it.
Yeah. To be
and
fair, I'm not gonna be walking on either with weight.
It's
unless
weird.
like
It's
turf or
weird
something.
for sure. Yeah, that's why you come to a cool gym like Be Fit, where you can do farmer's carry every
Exactly.
week. Grip strength, which is very neglected.
Yep.
Works your shoulders. It's good
Works
for
the shit out of your
posture.
core.
It's great for your core, and it's another conditioning. Like you want to throw like a cardio or a circuit into your week.
Just walk with heavy weight.
Boom, walk with heavy weight. Put it in the middle of like some sort of other tricep, and you're golden.
And I love the practicality of it. We had
Absolutely.
a client yesterday send us a picture
Yep.
doing farmer's carries, pinching it because they didn't have handles. The pinch is crazy.
The pinch is great.
The pinch is
Ooh.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Pinch plate pinch.
plate
farmer's
pinch.
carry, great. I'll pinch you.
I'd like to see you try.
So my fifth and final exercise, it's funny, I was actually gonna choose yours, but I went the
Accessible route.
wow, we didn't
This
rehearse
guy's like
that, actually.
ADA.
How so?
It's compliant. It's very accessible. It's got to be wheelchair
gotta be.
accessible. It's ADA, right? American
ADHD.
Disability Association. The people that, they make you like have your doors at a certain.
I'll tell you what, the ADA doesn't exist anywhere outside of America Because if you go to any other
Oh,
country,
no.
I was just in Colombia and I had to go up some stairs and I was like, so if you're in a wheelchair, you're just cooked. Like there's
You're screwed.
Yeah, like
Literally, like no ramps to get into buildings.
Or out,
nothing.
or
You're
out.
done.
Dude, cooked. You're cooked. It was a government building and it was like, nah, dude, crawl or something, figure it out. So anyway, my accessible route, I chose a chest press. Specifically
what kind of chest press?
Dumbbell chest press, specifically. Barbells could be a little too heavy, especially if you're just starting off. I know you guys are gonna mock me because I think everything is too heavy.
No, you're right though.
So,
and people with shoulder issues. I have a bunch of clients that don't. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
the
we'll never touch a bench press. So the dumbbell chest press, you can challenge yourself. It works most of your upper body, obviously. The front muscles, your chest, your shoulders, your triceps are a secondary mover. And what I like about it is also the independence of both arms. So again, we're working that symmetry. We're working those imbalances. We're working
stability, shoulder
stability, all that good stuff that people are lacking. The chest press works.
Which, by the way, the stability is better with dumbbells than with a barbell.
There you go.
So there's a lot of benefits to that.
There you go.
Like how you did that just off the top of your head. That shows this is actually something we're experts about.
Rumor has it.
I like that, and like you said earlier, like you said earlier, it's better to pull than to push, but pushing is another foundational movement, so you still need to press.
You need to be symmetrical. You can't be all back and then.
Also, we don't need to tell the fellas that they need to be working their chest, but what would you say to the ladies that say, well, why do I even have to work my chest and shoulders and because I know they want to work triceps. But.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you're gonna be uneven, and you're not gonna have any pushing muscles. If God forbid you ever have to push something or
shove somebody
out of your way, you're not gonna have any muscles. And if you're doing all back, you're gonna have a weird kind of asymmetry of all back and like nothing here in the front. If you care about symmetry and looking good.
Yeah, we always talk about like not neglecting aspects of fitness, and it's just another set of muscles that you need to be working. And like we said, it's foundational. It's not just whether it's overhead pressing or pushing this way. That's just a foundational.
Plus, there's a lot of area here. These are big muscles. Like your chest is a big area.
And by the way, you're not gonna grow a huge chest by doing dumbbell chest presses, with 12.
Your boobs can't grow.
Don't be scared about that.
Don't be scared about.
Anyway,
your next one.
So pressing is, of course, I had to pick the push-up.
Yummy!
What's that?
What is that?
Oh, what? Oh, what? What is it?
What is it? A song.
A song. Let me see you do a push-up. Now go down. Go down. Okay, that's a start.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yay, go Maya!
So cute.
That's my kid. Oh. Okay, so the push-up. Obviously, I knew it. There was one like cliche exercise that everybody probably saw coming.
Desert Island. You picked a great prison workout. If you don't have any weight or anything in your cot, in your like jail cell, you could do yours and you could have a great workout.
I do most of these every week, probably for a decade. I've done most of these every single week, especially pull-ups. Yeah. That's an every week. Push-up, as functional as it gets. It's not only an upper body and like chest exercise of what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
It's a incognito core exercise too. You have to have really good core control to be able to keep your torso and your hips in place as you're doing the push-up. It's actually way harder than people think to do a good push-up.
And you see it butchered all the time.
All the time.
When you see the hip dropping in. And that's why I bought the perfect push-up.
Developed by Marines.
Yeah, it was really good for me.
This is the second time it comes up.
We're talking about the perfect push-up.
Thank you for showing us that scent. Can I have a bite?
Yeah.
Well, good bite too. Thank you.
Sant.
Nice sant.
Just knees away. It's gonna be good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now the push-up is great, and you said a lot of people butcher it, but I do love the variety that you get from it. So if the push-up becomes too easy, hey, elevate your feet. If it's too hard, elevate your hands. If it's still easy, clap push-ups, explosive. You can make it dynamic. You can make it work power and not just strength. It's a really like overall good upper body movement.
You can change the distribution of chest to tricep to shoulder depending on exactly.
That's it. Just close up your arms a little bit.
And then you can add, like you said, a power and speed element by doing a explosive push-up or a clap push-up. Another thing I like about the push-up is that it is somewhat accessible because yes, most beginners can do a regular push-up, but maybe you could do it on your knees, which is still very hard.
Yeah.
Or you could just elevate your arms and do it like a barbell that's on a rack, or even like on a kitchen counter or something like that.
And I like the visual aspect of, I like starting my new clients on the elevation on the bar, and they can start seeing themselves get lower and closer to the floor before they perfect it and get down there. I'm not gonna throw you to the wolves.
Which is a great tip, like pro trainer tip, is don't start push-ups on the floor. I don't care how strong you think you are, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yep.
So humble yourself, elevate those arms, and then little by little, it has to be perfect first.
Yeah.
Because what would you say is the risk of just starting on the floor? Like Maya.
I think the biggest risk of starting on the floor is people start learning wrong, and then you develop that movement pattern in a wrong way,
Ding,
and
ding,
you'll start
ding. Nailed it.
you'll start compensating with, let's say you have stronger triceps, and we see it a lot with women. They start their hands all the way up here, and they should do like
Flare
a
their
shoulder,
elbows.
a shoulder push-up.
Neck
so
ups.
rather than doing that, quagmires. So rather than doing that, like you said, humble yourself, start on the bar, do it perfectly, make sure you got the 45-degree elbows, all that good stuff. Then work your way down little by little. Before you know it, you'll be doing a perfect push-up, some say.
Because that brings up a good point, which is something that we always tell our clients, which is once your body learns a movement pattern, it likes to stick to that way of doing it, right?
Yep.
So it's harder to like teach an old dog new tricks, so to speak, than if you learn it the perfect way from the beginning. That's why we love getting like clients that have never worked out before.
I was about to say
Because
that.
right from the beginning, it's like that push-up is going to be perfect, as opposed to getting, believe it or not, some strong person who's been doing it wrong, and good luck changing that person's form.
Yeah, think about it like if somebody brings you a statue and they tell you fix this statue, or they bring you a marble block and they're like, oh, make me a statue. Obviously, assuming you
hard.
have any sort of artistic talent, which you do.
I
Actually.
do.
You can see his caricatures.
I'm the Leonardo da Vinci of my generation.
He really is. He's really good. You see his caricatures.
Kevin,
Anything else to say about the
when
push-ups?
Kevin saw my caricature and he's like,
Who did that?
He's like, man, you have a lot of patience. I'm like, dude, I did it in 5 minutes.
So guys, that's our list. Did you like this style of video? We could do more like this. I really like the idea of the 5 most butchered exercises. I think that's a good one.
We're definitely gonna do that. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
We should do that next. So tune in next week.
You guys let us know. Any other recommendations? Anything else? Any other lists you want to see?
Please comment on YouTube, because you guys love to send us text messages, which is great. But comment for the algorithm.
For the rhythm. For the algae rhythm.
My algorithm's cooked, but
My algorithm is cooked. I get Maynard time.
it sure is, folks.
It
And
really
with that,
is, guys. Guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Be Fit Brothers podcast.
don't Google that Maynard time.
Don't tell them to Google it. So, guys, see you next time, and happy Chinooka.
Producers are not happy.
And stay tuned for the bloopers right after this.
Stay tuned for the Jackie Chan like
Thanks-
bloopers.